And good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon, and it's time for Business Eye again. First of all, I'd like to thank, as usual, our sponsors, the local enterprise office at Dunleary Rathdown, hashtag making it happen. Joe, we're back again.
We are back again, Simon. Another week. The weeks are just flying in.
I know.
Yeah, it's. I can't believe we're nearly at the end of January.
It's nearly Easter.
yeah, early. Like someone said to me, says, "Oh yeah, what are you doing for Paddy's Day?" I nearly fell off. It says, "I haven't even got through January." Well, I know the 20th of January was meant to be the most depressing day of the year.
The Monday, the third month, Blue Monday,
which is also my wife's birthday, but I won't say that to her on it. But I don't know. Does it feel like a very long month?
It does, yeah.
It does, yeah.
It definitely does,
It does indeed. Who have we got on today, Simon?
We've got two very interesting guests, one of whom I've done a bit of work with in the past, and one who I think is incredibly intelligent. We'll come on to that in a second. You're both intelligent. The first up is Niall Parfitt from Atlanticus Digital.
Atlanticus Digital, yes.
You can spell it. You can pronounce it. I can't.
Yeah.
And I met you up in Belfast. You did a bit of work selling a programme that I did at Queen's last year.
That's
so
right, yes.
Welcome. It's great to see you again.
Thank you very much, Simon. Great to be here. And Joe?
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And then the second then is Eilis Quinlan.
That's right.
And you've got an amazing background. You started life as a cellist.
That's right.
You're an accountant, a Mensa member, which scares the hell out of me.
Oh, don't let it. There's more important measures of intelligence.
Outgoing chairman of ISME, a director of the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland. So, and you specialise in tax planning, business planning, and growth. So a lot of stuff and more.
Award-winning accountant as well, 2019.
Yay! Wow!
Thank you, Joe.
Congratulations.
Simon.
It's
Thank
nice
you.
To meet
Thank you.
So it's great to have you on. Thank you for coming in on this Friday. We have a list of 50 questions that we're going to forward.
Can I leave now, please?
Yes. How do you get the figs and the fig rolls? So yes. So just as we're saying there, it's Friday. It's coming towards the end of the year. A lot of people actually Irish are doing their taxes or have finished their taxes and they're gearing up for the new year. Is it a strange month for yourself, or is it a lull sort of after everyone trying to get everything done for, December 2019 and then slowing down in January? Like
no,
Santa?
it's not. There's certainly not a lull. We haven't had a lull in years now, thankfully. But it's a different month because it's a new year. It's a new planning month. A lot of people have had a break. They come back with renewed energy. They have plans that they've thought of with their family. Apparently it's the month when people change jobs, leave marriages, make huge decisions. Yes. So from that end, it's a great time to actually get your house in order and make plans for the future.
It's interesting you say that because it was on the radio that it's a busy month, especially in America, for law firms where people actually come in and want to get divorced because they've had this break and they realise the person that they're living with is driving them mad for the last 20 years.
I always notice in January bills that somebody hasn't chased me for, they suddenly arrive, and ex-collaborative business partners start coming back and saying, don't want to work with you anymore. So they've been thinking about things over the Christmas period.
But it's a really exciting time because you've had a chance to wind down from the day-to-day grind and actually look at the bigger picture, and it's something that not enough of us do on a regular basis.
I agree.
Is it an industry that you love?
Yes.
Yes, and the reason I asked that, my wife was an accountant with ACCA. Yeah, and she is now a nutritionist, and she realised that it wasn't something that she liked. She's a very good accountant, and thankfully she is my accountant. But it was something that and she loves nutrition. So I think vocation. When I think of accountants, I think of a vocation.
Well, for me personally, I had a very varied and back-to-front path to it. But I have to say, for ACCA, it's the only qualification in accountancy that I could have ever got because I had 3 kids and a husband and when I went to night school to qualify, and no other qualification was open to me in that situation. It's also because it's a global qualification and it moves with the times. It's embracing technology. Excuse me. It's embracing what businesses need. So as Simon said about the ISME, I'm very focused on SMEs, and the qualification gives me tools to help SMEs and to plan forward and work with them. And it's really, I love it because you can make a difference.
You can, definitely. And SMEs are strange. You know, we have large corporate and we have big multinational, and then you have the small business owner who is the lifeblood of Ireland. You know, if you calculated the amount of money that exchange hands on a monthly business from small enterprise, it's colossal.
And the level of employment in
as
SMEs.
well. Yeah.
It's interesting, the whole area of business. Business growth. So you specialise in the financial tax side, but Niall, you specialise in the digital side and growing businesses. And I've seen you in action. And let me just say this: unlike most digital marketers and marketing people, you seem to have a real heart and soul, and you seem to really care about your clients and you care about their trajectory. So maybe just describe a little about the work you do, but for not the technology side, but really how you connect with your clients and make sure they're moving in the right direction.
Well, I suppose, Simon, I've worked for 20 years for various organisations and for the large corporates as well. And really, what I've sensed as I've been through the process with small organisations and the challenges that are associated with those people as well. My wife went out in business just before myself. We had a personal issue. My son had open heart surgery. It kind of changed our whole perception on life as well. We had him home for 6 weeks, and we found out that he had a heart condition that we didn't realise, we didn't pick up from birth. And I was kind of thrown into, I was working in Queen's at the same time, and you were talking about qualifications. I was doing a part-time master's as well. And when something like that life-changing episode happens, and we've all had them, it kind of does change your whole perception on life. And that's where both myself and my wife had a change in direction on where we wanted to do and where we want to work. I love digital. I'm interested in technology. I started in Ulster Bank in 2000. There was no Google, there was no Facebook. We dealt with websites and web pages and spreadsheets then. And now it's just evolved into this colossus of information. For a marketer, for myself, it's the data that I get to see, the information, the insights. That's what really makes me tick. But also helping businesses, helping them to grow. So I love working with SMEs, and I love working with them on marketing campaigns and seeing the fruition of those campaigns coming to life and really helping them grow their business as well.
There's so much information out there, and there's so many different products that we know. You know, someone comes up with a great idea, and you go online, and there's 1,000 companies doing it already, and it's a very competitive market, but it has to be done right, really, truly. There's a lot of people, a lot of companies out there who will just jump on something and won't really test it to get the results on it. So, do you take that step back, where you go, okay, let's first find out who's your client before you kind of, because I know I've heard, you know, the stories out there, people have spent 20, 30,000 on Google ads and got nothing and wondered why. And, you know, people say, oh, Google is brilliant. Google works because it's 53 billion a year. 53 billion a year, yes. But what portion of that isn't working for the people that are giving the money?
It's so true, Joe, that you say that, and it's a really interesting point. And likewise, I've dealt with many clients who've spent an awful lot of money on marketing spend and advertising online. But when you ask them a simple question is, what is your ideal customer? They are completely flustered. They kind of jump on a bandwagon because everybody else is doing it and they're spending the money. But taking that step back and really understanding, what is your customer and what are their challenges? And, you know, how do you kind of alleviate those challenges as well by providing a solution for them? And it's very difficult for organisations to take a step back and have a holistic view of what their strategic direction is for their organisation.
Who they are and how they should come across. And we had this chat before, if they're a coach or a consultant, should they have a big red call to action button on their website? Or maybe not, if they prefer to be a bit more of a subtle organisation and they've already got some big clients anyway. So you need to look at who you are before you even decide, before you're hoodwinked by somebody who's going to sell you to do this stuff.
The interesting thing as well is we're all sitting around the table and we're all in different industries, but it's the same question that we ask our clients all the time.
Exactly.
Because there it is. And it's the question that your clients fear the most, because when you ask that question, they're frightened they're going to get it wrong.
They're frightened of having to re-change what they've already done.
Yeah,
It's a very simple question to ask, a very difficult one to answer.
Yeah.
And I find that I do customer persona workshops, and they can maybe last a day. And to really get into the nitty-gritty of understanding what your customer is, it takes time.
It takes time. It's the hardest part. It's the easiest question, the hard part. Like yourself, I'm a coach and a consultant, and I work with clients for 6, 7, 8 months a year. And to get it right, some of our clients, we have worked 4 months just for them to get this right. And once it's right, it's right.
I think that's a given for any service industry.
Yeah.
There is no blanket solution.
No.
Even if you condense into a subsection of a tiny industry, you still won't have a solution that's fit for purpose for everybody.
No.
And what I love about my job is that in order to deliver something that's useful, you really do have to get to know the client. Both
It's
what
caring,
they
isn't
do,
it?
which is the one. I mean, any technology now can spit out a set of figures. It's only as good as what you put in, and really, technology, I love it because it does all the grungy bit to get you up to date. What's exciting for me is to look forward and to see the dreams and the aspirations of our clients.
But it's funny, you know, I've got savvier with this stuff. So in the past, if I engaged a tax expert or an accountant, I would just assume that they would get it all right and they would know me. Now I say to them before I engage them, these are the things I need advice on, right? You're only going to get paid by me if you actually give me advice on these things. I don't want a rote and verse from some statute book, right? And you'd be amazed how many run for the hills when you say that. But the good ones, not many, stay and actually give you that advice.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's not useful, if it's not solving your issue,
I'm not paying for it.
Then it's not relevant to what you need.
That's interesting. Yeah, there
Just
is,
done it twice recently.
So you don't like tax people.
I now have engaged, I believe, a good one,
Oh, good.
but it's taken a while.
Yeah, yeah.
I think everyone has their opinion on that, and some law firms as well.
Yeah.
Or marketing or sales. So it is. It's all. Yeah. But it's looking into 2020. What I love about the beginning of every new year is that everyone gets excited. Everyone goes, "Brilliant! This is it!" And everyone, the whole world comes out of the gate, and they're all plowing ahead, and you see them all with the great ideas. Momentum is building, and as March comes on, a lot of them are slipping off and falling off and they're having to doubt and they're all the worry and all, and it's only when you kind of go, okay, I'm keeping my head above water and keep on going. So there's a question that and it's leading up to a question with yourselves. Are you in the position in your own business now, because we're talking with like SMEs, and a lot of the people that would be listening to this show are always looking, what's next? Do you yourselves go hunting or looking, whatever way you'd like to call it, for clients, or are you in that position now that people are coming to you referral-wise or on it?
I'm very lucky because we do have a constant stream, it seems, of referrals. But I specialise, and even talking about the tax advice, there is one of the reasons I think that tax people get a bad name is that you can tax plan to death, but if you don't end up in the situation where you want to be, it's no use. People think, I want to pay no tax regardless. That's ridiculous. Would it not be better to pay a little bit of tax and be happy and have your assets where you wanted them distributed to your children equitably or whatever else you want?
And go to sleep at night.
There's that fear,
absolutely.
isn't there?
No, we've got to that point.
There's that fear of, okay, I'm earning all this, or is it going to be just taken away from me?
Yeah, but again, that's planning.
Yes.
You know, everyone wants to grow. Anyone who's serious about it most probably can. But if you don't have a target and if you don't write those targets down, it's just a dream. It's an aspiration. It's where I might like to be. But you're not serious about it unless you are determined to get there.
Mine's a bit different in the fact that case studies work very well for myself.
Case studies are brilliant.
And case studies and data and testimonials.
Yeah.
I I'm gobsmacked that people don't actually ask for testimonials after they've done a piece of work, and it's such an advocate of good practice, and shows that they are really good at what they do.
I'm the opposite. If you look at my new website, I've got about 60 testimonials on there. I've probably got too many.
Absolutely.
Now you can never what I'm getting now is I'm getting into getting video testimonials.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
using them and the testimonials that we're getting, we've gone that little bit extra. We're not shooting the testimonials on the phone. We're arranging for them to call down to a proper studio with lights and a professional videographer who shoots it. So the quality is there.
But you're so right. I mean, when I first arrived here 3 years ago from Australia, I had no testimonials here. So it took a year to get anything. Now, because of the testimonials, the work comes in. It's just we're like sheep. We just follow testimonials. You know?
But it's not. It's like you could have 80 testimonials or 100. People will only read maybe 3 or 4.
Ones, yeah.
But it's that proof that they have on
Exactly.
it. That's what
And
it is
check
on
them
it.
out.
Exactly.
Check them out as well. Yeah, it's very
Reply to them.
important.
Reply to them and say thank you for your testimonial.
Oh,
online,
absolutely.
Which a lot of people don't do.
Absolutely.
And that's
Conversations.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, folks, and we'll be right back. And welcome back after the break, and we'd like to thank our sponsors, the local enterprise office in Dunleary Rathdown. Their hashtag is making it happen.
Yeah.
Making it happen hashtag. I'm actually speaking at one of their events in March, Close the Deal again. I'll be a full house like last year, teaching people how to sell.
Cool.
It's a great event, and I'm speaking on Tuesday night on goal settings. And then I have my event tomorrow, which is Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. That's about positive mindset to unleash within.
I was at the last event. It was great.
They're great crack. Up in Airfield. They are so much fun. There's a lot of energy. We like to shake the negativity out of everyone in the first 2-3 hours, which we do.
When you saw children standing there on a Saturday morning, mouths wide open, looking at grown adults doing the hokey cokey, you knew you were on a different plane. I hope I didn't give away the secret.
We shake it. We shake the negativity out of people, and then we have a selection of speakers that come in and speak about how they have changed their lives by changing the way they have how they think, thought process.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Eilis, we were just talking during the break about, there's this perception that accountants just do accounting and their heads down and they produce reports. But you're saying, for you anyway, it's much more than that. It's about partnership and business growth. Maybe just expand on that a bit, because I think a lot of people think accountants just do accounts.
I know. Well, I suppose I think the training is brilliant, because what it's done for me is it gives me the ability to read financial information really quickly and understand it. But when you're reading it, you're looking for growth, you're looking for trends, you're looking for information that aren't easily visible. But after that, I mean, it's so varied. Again, to go back to technology does so much. You can only make business decisions with up-to-date information. So that's a given. And there are lovely monthly pay-as-you-go, software-as-a-service, online or cloud-based packages that will keep all your info up to date. And you can import bank and you can import all sorts of stuff. So that's base level. But it's what you do with that information that's so exciting, I find. And to see the growth, to plot it and to measure. And, if you aim for 110% and you get 90, how bad is that? You don't beat yourself up, but you can measure where you're going and how exciting it is.
It's an interesting, and I'll open up to both of you, that say someone who goes and speaks to people and speaks to their staff and doesn't look at any of these analytics. Don't look at any of them. I can speak to the customers and speak to the staff and then ask them to make a decision. And then, or get them to look at just the analytics and make a decision, which would work.
Neither.
Both.
Neither by themselves.
And the reason why I'm saying it, because I remember hearing a survey, I must dig it up, that top executives, after looking at all the data and speaking to everyone, no matter if they didn't have it or not, gut feeling wise would make the same decisions anyway. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get at.
But you need both.
You do need
both.
The
financial info is only the baseline. That's to give you the background. You also need the human element and you need the feedback.
It's interesting because I do some work for this company, Brand Finance, based out of London. I represent them here, and so what they do is they put values on corporate brands. Right, there are only 2 ISO certified companies that do it, and so they look at quantitative factors, all the financial stuff. But more importantly, that makes up a value of a brand is the qualitative stuff. So customer perception, market perception, how happy staff are, and yet most accountants wouldn't touch this stuff because they just deal with the quantitative stuff.
I think we're a bit afraid of it, if we're honest.
And most CFOs are as well. But it's a growing discipline,
Absolutely.
brand valuation.
And it's hugely important.
30% of the global stock markets is intangible assets, and 60% of that is brand, and 60% of that is not captured on. You can't put it on balance sheets, but you can note it. So there's billions out there of value that's not even noted on balance sheets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the world ends, we won't care.
But as a small business owner, I find some of these tools absolutely fantastic. I use QuickBooks myself. It is phenomenal, the fact that I can invoice my work on a monthly basis, and I can start tracking about my profit and loss as well. The fact you can start scanning in your receipts and taking that element of grunge and mundaneness from your daily life, and to know it's peace of mind for me.
We had
as
Mark in here from Big Red Book as well.
That's right,
It's a great product. They have Big Red Cloud now.
They do,
You can import, you can scan a load of invoices and import them. You can
But the support is excellent as well.
It's an Irish company. Always buy Irish if you can.
Well,
support SMEs.
Are you based up in Belfast? Or
Yes, so I've got an office in Dundalk and an office in Belfast then as well.
Across the border.
Across the border, yes, which is very relevant at the moment, yes.
So this Brexit bill was finally signed yesterday, which means it's now real.
Yes.
So how is that going to impact your business in the north and or the south, or will it make any difference? Or
I'm hoping it won't make a difference, because maybe if there was no deal on the plate, which it's looking very unlikely that it won't be a no deal, I'm hoping that I'll be okay. But again, how do you practice for something, or how do you plan for something that you just don't know the outcome from? I have a very good friend and a very good colleague who is a Brexit advisor for Enterprise Ireland. And it's changed, the whole kind of scenario has completely changed, and the landscape has changed over the past 2 months from looking very likely like no deal to a deal on the plate now.
It's just going to create a whole new industry as well.
And huge opportunities.
Yeah.
There's always opportunity.
From a Northern Ireland point of view, there's a huge opportunity there.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we are part of...
I believe it'll be a lot smoother this time because there is a different government in. People that were blocking are now
But on the other hand, if they don't elect for an extension at the end of June,
there could be no deal at the end of the year.
There could be no deal, because if they don't elect to or request an extension, then by default
it hasn't gone.
They'll crash out on the 31st
Do you
of
think
December.
it makes it easier for negotiational purposes on both sides, that there is more an established government? So I'm watching it very carefully. I live 30 miles from the border. I love Dublin and love Dundalk for doing business, as well as Belfast. There's a lot of the big tech companies in Dublin, so that's where I can see my kind of
we have a room for rent down there.
Fantastic.
It's there's one thing when you hear Brexit, everyone rolls their eyes and they go, "Oh my God!" But I don't think people are forgetting the positive. And I mean that from a business opportunity. Like one of our colleagues here, Patrick Daly from Alba Logistics, does a show here called Interlinks, and he speaks about Brexit all the time and speaks to people all across border and right across Europe. The opportunities that have opened up and the creative ideas that Irish business have started to do and look at outside the British Isles and into Europe is amazing. And some of these companies now that have moved the way they do business, if they decide, say Brexit isn't going to happen, they're never going to go back to the way it was, because they've found better and super ways to do business.
I think it's pushed us into doing something that we never would have done either.
No longer
ever.
the small island.
And the thing is, historically, we dealt with the UK primarily because it was nearest and we knew it best, and it was the same language. Now we've opened up whole new markets. We've learnt that language isn't a barrier, that it's nearly as near to go to Europe, mainland Europe,
Yeah.
that the market is massively
Look at
bigger.
Flanders; they've built a business right along all the ports and
Yeah.
in there just to deal with the Irish market as
Yeah.
well. So yeah,
And we might never have got out of our comfort zone.
If it didn't happen.
We're
it
very
didn't happen.
adaptable people,
Yeah.
and
We
we're
always
adaptable
have
creatures. We
been.
always
That's-
have been,
yeah.
particularly the Irish, particularly what's
Much more so than the
political
UK.
and historical landscape has always changed, and we are an island. That's the way I look at it, and a very accessible island.
it's a rock off the side of Europe.
Yes, that's right.
you
That's
know.
right.
If only the politicians could kind of get out of the way of this stuff. I mean, Northern Ireland could quite easily be the Singapore of Western Europe. Had the best of being in Europe and the UK.
I know.
Let's hope the politicians start catching up with this stuff.
Wow.
Well, it'll be interesting because with the elections coming up as well,
Yeah.
they're knocking on the door. I have my
Yeah,
list of questions for them. I think what they do, they put the red cross. Don't call it there. He has a list of questions because it matters. Everything matters to us. And there's one thing about being in this area, which the Dunleary Rathdown area.
Yeah.
People don't realise it, but what happens in this area makes a big difference what happens in government.
Yeah.
Because
It
it's
does.
one of the strongest areas on it as
It
well.
is.
Yeah,
Most
so
expensive house prices in Ireland as well.
everything else. Yeah, we have the Lewis, we have the Dart.
Yeah.
It's
Dundrum Shopping Centre.
Dundrum Shopping Centre. Thank you for Dundrum Shopping Centre as well. What sort of year have you got planned for yourselves in your own structure, in your own business? We're talking about how you help other people, but what sort of ideas or structures have you got yourselves for your own business? Well,
I think more establishing my brand online, so practicing what I preach. I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn, as a lot of business professionals are. I would do a lot of LinkedIn workshops across Ireland, and it's really showing people about enhancing their personal brand through things like LinkedIn. I'm also a HubSpot agency partner, and I want to utilize those two. Tools more. Definitely differentiating myself amongst all the other social media and digital marketing consultants out there, and just focusing on those two platforms.
do you think a lot has changed? Like LinkedIn has changed the landscape, the way we do business. We were speaking earlier when we were having coffee that you can find anybody's information online, email address, whatever. And everyone is sort of believing, let's call it social selling, that all you need to do is put loads of content up online and go, right, it's going to wait its weight. Those conversations, I've always believed if you really want to grow your business, it's having conversations. There are people out there that will do business with you, but they will do it only if you have a conversation with them.
I absolutely
We had
totally
exactly
agree.
the same chat, didn't we?
Yeah, I absolutely totally agree with that. These are fantastic tools. They're great opportunities. You can get really good data from them. But it's when you actually sit down in front of the clients and see the whites of their eyes and they see the whites of yours, they really understand that you're a trustworthy person.
You were saying if somebody has 1,000 likes but no comments, it's kind of almost worthless.
Well, that's just an aesthetic.
Well, I woke up this morning and I was very upset because, I only had 6 likes on LinkedIn. And
It becomes an addictive thing, doesn't
I
it?
had to have an extra coffee. We're going to keep on this conversation when we come back, and we'll take a quick break right now, folks. And welcome back, folks. We were talking before the break on how we develop, or how our guests develop, are going to develop their business, or the insights that they're going to be doing themselves. And Niall beforehand was telling us what he was doing, and we're going to open the floor to yourself.
Well, I think the first thing I'll be doing is contacting Niall with some marketing. I always have great plans, but about a year ago I launched our app, the Quinlan Accountants app, which very slow, quiet launch, but it integrates. It's not rocket science. It's just can sit there and you can do everything. A lot of information gathered in the one space.
And that's on iTunes or both on it?
Both.
Both, yeah.
And so that sort of that took a while to do, obviously.
Yeah.
And for this year, we're just looking at really technology. I love what you can do. I just find it really exciting, and all the opportunities of Brexit and new markets. And I represent the ACCA in Brussels every so often on a think tank, which gives me huge
Scope as well.
scope and great contact, so I can refer someone to an accountant in Germany or in Denmark or wherever it is, and that gives me great insight into how other countries work, which gives my clients opportunities.
It's interesting. I heard on the radio yesterday that Ireland is one of the best countries in the world through its tax system in equalising, through its progressive tax system in equalising disparities. I never knew that.
Well, yes and no. It depends what level you're at. I think, I won't get into the social welfare versus.
Yeah.
So there's good and bad
debate.
to what I've just said.
There is good and bad.
Has
yeah.
Ross helped an awful lot?
I think
of
Ross
business?
is one of the best websites.
Yeah.
Actually, give the government its
Yeah,
due.
yeah, no.
It crashes at the
Yeah.
income tax year every year. The income tax.
But the
deadline,
information
but
that they
the
have
information
and
is
what you
great.
can load in and out, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that intuitively
No, it's
easy to
not.
find
It's
something.
not.
But little tip. There's a white box called search at the top right-hand corner.
Yeah.
And if
Help.
you put in the topic... No, but really, if you put
It
in
is,
the
yeah, no, it's a
topic
brilliant
it'll bring
yeah.
you,
No.
because there are lots of different avenues you can go down, and if you're like me and you see something that's interesting and you go off down that
to
little
it, yeah.
avenue, it can be a bit hard to...
Do we all do that, actually? You know, I remember jumping on to send someone an email this morning, and I ended up, on
Million
YouTube,
miles away.
and I kind of went, "Oh my God,
I do
what was I doing?
I
I had
do
to
that.
stop." Yeah, we
Depends
do
when the
that
next deadline is.
Yeah, I'm pushing through it. It's. Do you believe it's important to have pushing as much content out online? It's all about being awareness. It's pushing the right amount of content, building that persona that people know that you're there, or is it sort of?
Is there a right balance? That's a good question.
That's the big question, getting the right balance.
So what is that
But
balance?
it's about getting content, but actually also having something that you want your customers to do afterwards.
Congruency.
Yeah. Exactly. So I feel that sometimes there's maybe too much noise.
There's a lot of noise.
A lot of noise at the moment, and it's about giving something back to your clients. We're all in a business where we give services back. So giving financial help, free financial advice, those kind of things. You're probably kicking me under the table for saying that.
I mean,
but
my
if
app
you
is
give-
free, for example. It's
But
just handy.
thought leadership posts will get higher engagement than look at me, aren't I great? I'm absolutely fantastic. I'm on a radio show. It's giving something back is always
I
going
think
to
it's
help.
important. Information. It's I give out free information, tips and tools, and share. And if we talk about asking people, if someone asks me something,
Of course,
I'll tell
You
them.
can.
I do it. Yeah. It's that important, and it's not that. Oh, look at me, I'm great. I'm with Joe and Simon. In case you want her autographs, but it's the content.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
it's
right,
important.
That's
on
right.
it.
But having something that you want to plan.
But you can be overwhelmed with all that content as well.
You can, and it's very simple. I speak to a lot of people about LinkedIn, and they say, there's an awful lot of rubbish on it here, and there's 3 buttons up in the top right-hand corner of every post. If you don't like that piece of content, you just click on that button and say, I do not want to be served any posts that are relevant to this subject matter, or I don't want to see any posts from that individual again.
It's interesting. Do you think there's like a new online empathy thing that's emerging? What I mean by that is when I see posts, say, on LinkedIn, there are certain posts I just completely turn me off. People who just talk about their thought for the day, but they don't offer any advice. Or there are people who just add in URL, hashtags for other people they know and all this sort of stuff. There are certain people, when you see the post, you're drawn to them.
My question
What
to you
is that empathy?
Yeah, but my question back to you, Simon, is what do you do when you see that post? Do you skirt across it? Do you do anything?
When I see the ones that annoy me,
Yeah.
I completely try, I avoid it and go to the next one.
But you need to actually physically tell the platform that you don't want to be served that content, because the algorithm is.
I just don't bother. I just move on.
Yeah, but that's going to continue to serve that.
I remember I did a test and I put up a video of a woman balancing sticks, balance stick by stick, and it was made it into a tree. On LinkedIn, I said, I just want to do this. I had some 50 odd people going, oh my God, this is amazing. This is nothing to do with work, right? Amazing. One person going, this is LinkedIn, not Facebook, which that's keep your opinion to yourself.
Exactly.
But it had 18,000 views. So I'm kind of going, was this a video that I posted up? I threw it up last year to test it. And I was kind of going, is it so people can just switch off from work and go, breather.
Or was it 18,000 people thinking Joe's finally lost it?
No, but that's the algorithm on it.
Yeah,
Point,
no, I
though,
agree.
Because if you can try and gamify something
Yeah,
or
yeah.
put a bit of fun into something, I mean, you can be serious and you can be learning something or giving serious information, but it doesn't all have to be so
Serious.
numbing,
No,
so
I-
serious.
no, I-
yes.
That's a very,
Um,
very true point as well, because that is, probably people were looking at business-related posts,
Yeah.
and they came across this kind of
And
a relief.
There's
video.
only
A
so much
relief,
of that
yeah.
But
you
there's
can
certain
take.
etiquette. People would say, "Oh well, hold on, LinkedIn's a professional network. It's
goodness
not
sake.
Facebook."
Yeah.
I know, but for me, then the next step for you, you've got all that awareness and engagement, which is brilliant. What was to be the next step for a potential client to do business with you based on that post?
So this is
Yeah,
my
but
point.
it's-
This is
I
my
know you
point.
were testing it, but
It was testing
Yeah.
it, but it was also looking at, putting up other posts and monitoring to see. And you get to, I've realised that I've, in business over 30 years, and I've realised we all are knowledgeable on sales, and we are all knowledgeable on marketing, and we all know all the software, and we love this. But at the end of the day, it's really trust, belief,
Connection.
who we are ourselves. It's not forcing something or pretending to be someone else. If people just don't want to do business with me because they saw that, then I don't want to do business with them
Exactly.
either.
Exactly.
That's it. I want to deal with the person who knows that I don't wear a short. I curse from time to time, but they know I care about them 100%.
But there are people who feel that they're similar, or else they like better what you're doing than they're doing.
Yeah, that's a good
Either
point.
way, you're going to connect with them, or
Yeah.
they're going to connect with you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you have to have that connection if you're going to have a long
Yeah.
and useful.
Correct.
We talk about uniqueness and being authentic, but it's for me now, it's the belief system. And I always say to people, look, there's 25% of people out there that love you, think you're brilliant and want to do
That
business
much?
with you. There's
I
25.
expect there's
There's 25%.
90%
Well,
that
I use the analogy. There's 25% of people out there get you. There's 25% of people out there that will sit on the fence, and there's 50% of people out there would wish you were dead. And that's how I look at business.
Yeah.
That's how I look. It's that 25%. I'm not, there's how many billion in the world, or I'm only looking at that 25% that resonate with myself. The other 50% that hate me or wish I was dead, good. There's someone else like me who they like that they'll do business with.
It's about building that resilience. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I personally myself, I'm 2 years in business, and I worked for 20 years for different organisations, and it was actually building that resilience and realising that there will be people that just don't like what you post up.
I don't
And
like you.
That's great. Grand. We don't need to do business, and that's the way to kind of have that mindset.
And Simon, you talked about the imposter syndrome.
Yep.
That's huge.
I just posted this morning, right, and I posted and I gave some tips, right, because I've been through that, and I'm shameless about talking about it now, and I put an image there of two bubbles on the left and two bubbles on the right, and on the left, this is what you think of yourself. Your bubble is small, and what you think of other people's big, but in reality, they're both the same, right? The feedback that I've got is, wow, but that image is amazing, Simon. That's a massive subject.
We've 2.5 minutes left, so I feel it fair that we'll all plug our businesses anyway. So look, if people want to find out about their taxes or financial advice, or if someone wants to find out about marketing, or how to build that strategy in both industries, where can people find you?
I'm QuinlanAccountants.ie, or Google Eilis Quinlan, EILIS.
And are you also on LinkedIn?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you are on LinkedIn as well. And yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to speak to any SME or a large organisation as well that are looking to grow their business. So it's www.atlanticusdigital.com is my website, and of course you can find me on LinkedIn 24/7 as well.
And I'll ask you, give me one quick tip that you would give our audience in your own industry.
Well, I think for life rather than industry
Whichever.
specific, nothing is impossible. It just takes a bit longer.
It does, yes.
Take a step back and start thinking about your customers. What are their challenges? Putting yourself in your customer's shoes and demonstrating how you can alleviate those problems as well.
Simon?
A bit like Eilish's, for me, it's about not allowing your impatience become a block for you. Don't allow your impatience become a block. Just allow yourself to be patient and things will unfold.
Takes time, but
Yep.
once the momentum is building, it's on it as well, isn't it?
It
Take
is.
time,
Yep.
momentum,
Yep.
and speed of delivery is
Yep.
crucial as well.
Yeah.
on
But
it.
you mentioned resilience and awareness. These are the four
Yeah.
or five pillars, I think.
On it as well.
Yeah.
And what are you doing next week? What have you got up?
Getting prepared to do a new program on business growth at Southampton University in the UK in a couple of weeks. I can't yet announce, but I've got another business school here about to engage me. So I seem to be doing lots of work with business schools. So
That's it,
a lot of hard work.
Yes, we'll have a big plaque of you in that.
Professor Hayes.
Professor, there he is. Look at him. But, and yes, myself again. I'm doing a couple of events and just enjoying the ride, as one
Yeah.
says. Where the Conscious Business Academy now is reaching out to corporate clients to speak to them on sales, marketing,
Yeah.
culture, and leadership. That's the Conscious Business Academy. Until next week, folks. Myself and Simon would like to say thank you for listening in. It's been a really nice.
Hasn't it?
It has,
Very
yes.
relaxed today.
Very relaxed today. There must be something in my coffee. Something in my coffee. Until next week, folks, we will catch you again live at 1 p.m. And remember, the show is available on iTunes and Spotify. So if you want to catch a rerun, you'll catch us up in there. Till next week, 1 o'clock. Have a super week. Goodbye.